Just extremely enthusiastic about the fact that it is such strong women. I think especially to be on a TV show where it's not just one leading strong woman, where the women that are around her are strong in completely different ways. You know, you have a pirate, you have a woman who works at a brothel, and an incredible tough leading character who's sort of, it's extremely exciting to be a part of something like that with many, many strong women.
Yeah, I think, and also for me, I was so excited about the fact that we could finally see women in this world. I think for so many years there's been representations of pirates that have been so male dominated, and you know, women kind of did have to run the show when the guys were off hunting prizes. So that's a whole kind of aspect to how piracy worked, how these ports functioned, that had been kind of ignored by history. So, you know, and when I read it and I realised that she was such a ballsy woman who really could cut men down to the ground with one sentence, and be funny but sexy with it, and I think for me that just meant that I had so many different dimensions to play with as an actor. And you know, and I think the challenges that the women have to face are horrific, but they're also challenges that modern women can kind of identify with, trying to make your way in business today as a woman and be head of a business and command that respect. I think is something that a lot of women really have as an aspiration and battle with. So
it's great because you're dealing with three women who have their aspirations are that, and they're dealing with it, but they're succeeding at it. You know, there's still struggle, but they are succeeding at it, which is a really great thing. Well, I think that the way that Max sees Eleanor as a dear friend, definitely someone who she's very attracted to, and they have a sexual relationship, but that's not what drives their relationship. I think it was always a friendship first, and something that developed and grew into a sexual relationship. I mean, I think there's a great amount of trust there, and I think on Max's part, there comes to be a point where her feelings become greater and greater for this woman. I think she really respects and has an immense amount of love for her. Eleanor's kind of the only person on the island where Max lets her guard down, which isn't always such a good thing for her to do. You know, she's the only person on the island that allows Max to be a little bit vulnerable, which she doesn't show to anyone ever.
Yeah, I think their relationship really is interesting for both of them because it's something that neither of them have ever really experienced before. I think both of them exist in a very, very loveless world in lots of ways. They've both been abandoned in lots of ways, and I think Eleanor very much relies on Max for that kind of support and intimacy that she can't have with anybody else. That there's no one else that she can really confess her deepest things to and be vulnerable with. So in that way, their relationship is very equal. I think what happens with regards to why the relationship breaks down is because I think Eleanor also takes it on as a responsibility to try and protect Max, and what she takes for granted is that Max really is as strong as Eleanor. She doesn't need protecting. I think the fact that she has to pay for Max's services so that the brothel doesn't chuck Max out, but she's constantly wanting to kind of protect her from this world that's violent and difficult, and I think Max has survived in this on her own for a long time, and I think I'm not surprised that she takes offense at the fact that she hasn't kind of realized that and hasn't looked at her as an equal and hasn't seen the potential that they had as a relationship to move elsewhere and be together elsewhere. So. Eleanor comes in and she hits bait. She's the one who uses violence in kind of such a knee-jerk reaction, and the fact she gets hit back straight away, I mean, how did she ever think that she wasn't going to get hit? So
in a really twisted way, that scene where Vane hits you, as awful as it is, and I'm never ever condoning women being hit by men ever, there's a weird respect there because he's not afraid to hit her in front of anybody. That's not when they're alone together. He just does that in front of anybody to say, look, you're my equal, but you're not going to mess with me.
It shows women trying to survive in a very violent world, and I think that's something that exists today in so many societies. I think your storyline, I think for Max, what you see with regards to sexual violence and, you know, that exists in the world today.
Yeah.
It needs to be talked about. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be seen that it has existed from you know, the beginning of time, and
Absolutely.
it has to stop.
And that it's not acceptable, you know, because you know, in the first season, Max spends so much time, you know, being raped and abused and hid, and no one does anything, you know. I mean, Eleanor does, but I refuse your help, but none of the men do anything to help her. It's just this weird thing. Yeah, we know she's there, but, you know, that's just, she's being punished. That's her thing, you know. And then,
and that attitude is just so repulsive, and it's something that still exists today. You see it in the news all the time, and how does that still happen? Like, if we are reacting to a show that does that in that way, we need to react to the fact that it happens in reality. So yeah, I think the show isn't afraid of taking on those kind of issues and making it really clear, making a stand.
And putting it in your face and saying, this is what this looks like and this is awful, and I'm glad this is making you feel terrible. You know?
Yeah.